Hello and welcome to Awesome News. Today we will talk about the tsunami-inducing earthquake that occurred in Japan about 11 months ago.
That was a disaster. There was about $300 billion worth of damage done.
Wow! How could so much damage have been done?
Well, the earthquake was an 8.9 on the Richter scale.
Why is 8.9 such a small number if it caused so much damage?
Well, watch this video and he'll explain the Richter scale.
In 1935, Charles F. Richter invented this scale for measuring how big earthquakes were. The scale, although it goes up to 10, has never actually been measured at 10. The biggest reading has actually been a magnitude 8.9. We have a one single number increase. A single number increase means that the actual earthquake is 10 times the size. That is, the movement is 10 times as big, indicating an energy 30-something times as big. On the Earth, we have the site of the earthquake. Waves go from that point through this, which is the mantle of the Earth. This is called the mantle, and are transmitted and can be recorded at different points on the Earth. It is at these places, when they compare the readings that they get, they can work out how big the earthquake was and where it was located. Now, obviously, for very small earthquakes, which take place all the time, they are movements in the mantle and in the crust. This is called the crust. For these, mostly below 2, they're almost undetectable and they are called therefore microquakes. We don't really feel these very much, but significant quakes above 2 and up to 6 we call moderate quakes, and we will experience those as a small movement maybe that doesn't really have any effect on what we're doing. Maybe we will see the water in a cup move or something of that kind. At 6, we start to get significant damage. That is, if it's in a built-up area, houses, poor housing might collapse. There might be cracks in houses. But between 6 and 8.9, these are the real disaster areas, because any buildings, even well-protected buildings, at 8.9 will suffer considerable damage. So Mr. Richter in 1935 simply created for us a way to express how much damage an earthquake does.
Oh, that makes more sense. I can't imagine how many buildings must have been damaged.
There are 111,944 completely destroyed buildings and 139,870 damaged buildings.
Wow, and what of the tsunami?
The tsunami completely demolished many cities and towns across Japan.
That's terrible. No wonder the damage cost was so high.
Yeah. After the break, we have a video showing the mass destruction that the tsunami caused.
Let me get this straight. You've solved all our shipping problems with pigeons.
Carrier pigeons, sir.
Isn't this a little outdated?
No. These babies are equipped with GPS and night vision. This little guy's headed off to Cleveland.
Amazing. What about the big stuff?
That's been taken care of.
Wow. Let's switch to FedEx.
Accidents can happen anytime. That's why Geico's here 24 hours a day, every day. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back. I guess it's time for that video you said we could watch, huh?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's hard to believe that the water can do so much damage. How is it possible?
Well, in deep water, tsunamis can travel as fast as 500 miles in an hour and not be noticed. That's as fast as a commercial jet.
Wow. Then how do scientists know when there's going to be a tsunami?
Well, they know that if there is a landslide, volcanic eruption, or underwater earthquake, there is a possibility of a tsunami. They can also base the arrival time on their knowledge of water depths, distances, and even the event that generated them occurred.
If there was an underwater earthquake, how would they know about it?
Well, scientists use seismographs to detect when, where, and how powerful earthquakes are.
How do seismographs work?
Well, seismographs are mounted to the ground, so when the ground starts shaking, its case moves. What doesn't move, though, is a suspended mass inside the seismograph called the seismometer. During an earthquake, the seismometer remains still while the case around it moves with the ground shaking.
Oh, okay. I think I get it. I heard that when the earthquake happened, something happened to the nuclear power plants. Do you know anything about that?
Well, 3 of the reactors almost melted down. The temperature of the fuel rods remained well below dangerous levels as the tsunami flooded them.
So, if it had been just the earthquake, they would have melted down and possibly So, if there had been just the earthquake, they would have melted down and possibly caused complete disaster.
Yes. The water from the tsunami kept them from overheating too much. But after the tsunami, the rods reached dangerous levels and emitted radioactivity.
Oh.
Yeah, it kept the death toll from being any higher than it already was.
Which was?
It was about 20,000.
Wow. That's horrible. Imagining if it had been any higher is even worse. Thank God those nuclear rods didn't completely melt down and destroy everything.
Enough was already destroyed as it was. It was really hard for all the people in Japan to overcome the massive impact these natural disasters caused.
What did they do to overcome it?
Well, the people of Japan joined together. People that were not greatly impacted by the tsunami and quake have been helping the people that lost many things, including their homes and loved ones. One way the Japanese overcame the radiation poisoning problem was by putting the people with radiation poisoning into special buildings so they couldn't affect anyone else. The citizens that did not have radiation poisoning had to leave Japan until the workers at the power plant stopped the fuel rods from melting down.
Wow, that seems really awful. What would have happened if they didn't stop the fuel rods from melting down?
If they couldn't stop the fuel rods from melting down, Japan wouldn't be a safe place to live. In fact, you wouldn't be able to live there at all. There would be so much radiation in the air. Japan was afraid that if the fuel rods melted down, the radiation would make its way to the United States.
What? So, you're saying that if the fuel rods melted down, the Earth wouldn't be an unsafe place to live?
Yes, the workers had to cool down 3 different power plants. What they did to cool down the fuel rods is incredible. They had to get the coolant pumping system working again.
What would have happened if they didn't get the coolant pumping system working again?
If they had failed to do that, they thought that the only way to stop the fuel rods from melting down was to bury the reactors in sand and concrete.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of work. This must be a really difficult situation to be in. How does Japan intend to pay for the cost of all the reconstruction?
Japan is temporarily raising taxes. They're raising taxes on income tax, corporate taxes, property, and tobacco sales.
At least they found a way to pay for everything and a way to overcome all the problems that they're having and have had.
Yeah, it just goes to show that even in the hardest times, it's still possible to make it through them.
That's true. Well, that's all I have time for. Join us next time on AAHCCB News.